Welcome to this session. It's a relief to be able to report that I've learned something very interesting, and I didn't have to have an emergency to do it, similarly to the last session. I did a frequency session for myself, and that session included every wart frequency I had ever thought of, and there must be close to 15 of them. Of course, there are a lot more wart types than that, but those are the only ones that I have actually worked on for myself. I suspect that when I finish using these frequencies, I will probably find myself creating new ones for warts. Let me talk a little bit about warts. They occur in the skin, and generally speaking, we see them as benign. It is clear in my body, at least, that as I progress through my 60s, I tend to see them more. I attempted to remove some using the freezing technique that we buy in the drugstore now, and it is interesting to note that it apparently failed. As I understand it from my body, the freezing technique did exactly what it was supposed to do, but the wart cells in my body are so universally present that they simply reinvaded. And essentially, from my point of view, I made no progress. Why do I care? It's showing up in tennis as being a very beneficial session. My ability to focus is more consistent. My serve is becoming a lot more, it's better coordinated. It all comes down to that. Let's talk about it from a slightly different point of view. As I see it, a human being has essentially two control systems. There is, of course, the brain central nervous system with neurons. This is essentially a digital system in which a chemical pulse runs down the neuron at a fairly high speed, and that pulse becomes a piece of information that the tissues can then use and interpret. Of course, if you understand computers, you realize that computers run on pulses, and the way they are interpreted is you have maybe thousands or tens of thousands of them, and the computer interprets the patterns. So one pulse doesn't tell you anything. You need a lot of them, and you need to have a well-designed receiver to interpret the patterns in the pulses that occur. There is another electronic system there. It's the acupuncture network within the skin. And this is not just the skin that you see on the outside of my body. Every organ inside my body is encased in skin. The heart, the lungs, the liver, the pancreas, you name it, there is skin everywhere. And the experiments have shown that acupuncture points in the body are actually semiconducting amplifiers, and that the acupuncture meridians themselves are a fast electronic network, very complex. What does this have to do with warts? Well, wart cells infest the skin. They are aggressive. And apparently, based on my tennis results, They obviously like to insert themselves into acupuncture networks. And I would assume they promise the body that they will do just as good a job as the original cells did in being part of that network. Judging from the unexplainable lapses that I have always experienced, and after talking about this with other tennis players, I am convinced that these are not unique. I think a lot of people suffer from this. The last individual I was talking to was 32 years old. It was one complete match when he just couldn't seem to focus, and yet otherwise was perfectly healthy. My guess is that wart cells simply are not reliable. They're not designed to do this, so that they cannot keep their promise, much as they might wish to. And the end result is, while you can be as skillful as you like, you can't be reliable at it until the wart cells are gone. Well, I can tell you that since doing this zap, a number of people have complimented me on the power of my serve and its consistency, and how much more consistent I've been in my playing. It's been very good, and I am totally sold on it. An interesting result, isn't it? What other networks are affected by the acupuncture system? How about temperature regulation? How about the ability to coordinate your conclusions so that your body moves appropriately? How about quick reactions to some kind of scene? Are there automobile accidents that occur because for some reason the warts didn't coordinate properly, and some kind of quick event, it went straight by you because for some reason you couldn't respond to it? I see a lot of value in this particular session. It's going to be interesting to see where it takes us. Thanks for coming. We'll talk to you again. Bye now.